Yo, what's up, guys? So today I wanted to talk about why you must stack your ammo and why your first $100,000 you make is going to be the most uncomfortable that will be the most uncomfortable income that you will ever make in your life is your first 100,000. So let's get right into the video, guys. So most people, they understand two things. They understand how quickly life is upside down and how hard it is to build your first 100,000. But if you can stack your ammo, and push through that uncomfortable grind, you're gonna set yourself up for freedom later. So number one, guys, you need to stack your ammo. So ammo, it can mean preparation, right? Not actual ammo, but food, supplies, skills, cash. And in times of crisis, people panic, right? You don't want to be in the crowd looking for resources. You already want to own them. So, think of the ammo as a symbol. So the more you stack, the more control you'll have over your future. So the pain of your first 100,000 you make, right? So, everyone, they say money makes money, but you don't feel that until you hit at least six figures or, in your savings or investments. Because 100K, your first 100K is going to be to get that $100,000. You're going to have mornings where you're waking up early, nights where you're coming back late. Sometimes you might not get 7 or 8 hours of sleep, but to save up that first 100,000, to put it in an index fund, to put it in stocks, to put it in advertisements for your business, to put it in paying for contractors, laborers, tools that speed up your processes. Those are going to be, even to put that money into, let's say you want to just put it on a down payment for a house that is going to appreciate over time. Of the first 100K is going to be the hardest to make. And it's built on sacrifice, right? You have to say no to the luxuries. You have to cut out the waste. You have to reinvest every dollar. It's going to be extremely uncomfortable because, your effort to reward ratio, it's going to feel extremely unfair. But once you pass that line, the compound growth, it's going to take over. So, sometimes when you work extremely hard and you work overtime and you do that for a long period of time, you kind of want to just spend money on fashion and clothing because you feel like you've earned it. But with your 100K, the first 100K you make, you're going to have to say no to the luxuries, and that's going to be the hardest part. The hardest part sometimes is not even making the 100K, it's keeping it. It's having it in your account and not touching it, having the discipline to say no. I'm not gonna, spend this money, because you could be looking online. You could be looking at some amazing vehicles that you could afford now, like Teslas, BMWs, whatever it is. And you might say, hey, I can afford this now. I have 100K sat here in the pile. All I need is 20, 30K down payment, or maybe 15K, and I can get this nice car. But you have to have the discipline to say, no, I'm going to put this 100K into something that's going to pay me back in the future, even a year from now, or even 2 months from now, if you invest the money correctly. And the first 100K, right, to actually get there is it's what's going to actually change your life. It will change your life, because if you think about it, $100,000 put into the stock market in the first year, in 5 years, that $100,000 will probably be about 300,000 to 400,000. So if you even in 5 years, if you say, you know what, I'm just gonna take out the money in 5 years, you'll have 400,000. So that's almost like you working not every single day, but that's almost like you making $100,000 a year. So instead of, you can do whatever you want, right, in life. As long as you have the $100,000 invested in an index fund, or even into your own business, in 5 years, let's say for an index fund example, and you have $500,000 in 5 years from your index fund, that's like you making $100,000 every year. So that's like you having a six-figure job every year. But you might just be working at a local shop somewhere, making maybe 30K a year, 20K a year. But if you take that money out in 5 years and you have it in a tax-free savings account, a Roth IRA, that's like you making 100,000 a year. You put it into advertisements for your business. I guarantee you your profits are going to start going up, and you're going to start getting long-term customers, long-term clients. $100,000 is a great amount of money to jumpstart your business. If you believe in an idea, $100,000 is an amazing amount of money to really invest into tools that you need, products, You need products for your business. You need infrastructure. That money could be invested into your business. So when you think about all the chains and the clothing and the shoes and the cars and the, all that stuff, that is going to be good for right now, but next year some of that stuff is going to be old. The chains are going to get old, the shoes are going to get scuffed and old, the clothing is going to get old. The stuff is going to go out of style. So you spent your hard-earned money buying things that are going to be out of style next year, when you should spend your money, at least the first 100K, on something that is going to pay for your future, something that's going to benefit your future. So you have to know how to manage your finances. And even if you take 100,000 out, even if you take $1,000 out of that 100,000 pile to learn the knowledge of finances, you'll know what to do with the other 99,000. So whatever you do, make sure that you at least stack up 100,000 first before you do whatever it is. Stack your $100,000 and then go on your vacation. Go buy your car, buy whatever you want, but just $100,000 as a safety net so you can fall back on for whatever happens in life, because you never know what can happen in life. But at least if you have the $100,000 that is invested into the bank or into the stock market, or $100,000 that is invested into your business, that you have contractors, laborers, people working for you, advertisements running, your website running. You paid a year off for your website hosting. You have to pay every month for your website or every year for your website hosting. You already have that paid off. So when you have that $100,000 stacked up, saved, ready, invested, that you can fall back on all the time in your life, right? So treat it like a non-negotiable, right? Make sure that every time you get your paycheck, you're putting at least 20% away of your paycheck to just stacking that $100,000 slowly. And guys, it might not even take, it might take 10 years to save up 100,000. So right now, if you're 28 or if you're 35, to get the first 100,000, you might be 45 years old when you have $100,000 saved up. If you're 29 and you're starting, you might be 39 when you have the first $100,000 saved up. $10,000 a year, guys. It's hard to save $10,000 a year, but if you make it a point of duty to work overtime, if you work on the weekends, you don't even have to wake up 6 a.m. and stay overtime at your job every single day. You could just work Saturday and Sunday, and then you can even get a part-time job at a grocery store. You make 2 days a week, right? You can make $300 for the week, 2 days a week, 8-hour shift. You do that every weekend. At the end of the month, you'll have $1,200. You just save that $1,200, and then for the whole year, you might have made $14,000 from that grocery store job, working 8-hour shifts on the weekend. And it's easy, right? Just try to find an easy job that you can work on the weekend, that you can just spend there, that you can save the money, and then think about in 10 years, you'll have made that $100,000. And then, when you have that $100,000, and you don't have to wait till you have the 100,000 after the 10th year. Every single year, maybe you're investing that money in the index fund. Maybe every year you're investing some of that money into your advertisements for your business. Maybe every single year you're investing some of that money into whatever, if it's a course, right? Even if you want to become, if you want to pay off school bills or something like that, or you have to pay off school, you want to become a lawyer or whatever it is. That money on the weekend that you save up could actually work towards that. So the first $100,000, guys, is very hard to make. You need to try and do whatever you can to save your money, so you can eventually have that pile of money that will help you compound. It'll compound the money for you in the long run. So try and save the $100,000. Try and invest it into something that you believe that will work. Do whatever you have to do to make the most out of that $100,000 in terms of learning from other people, taking courses, consultations, speaking to people in your niche that have already done it, so you don't waste the money, do it. So guys, if you like this video, like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time.